Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Chris Cooper, known as the Channel Guy Trader, and I'm reporting to you live from Wall Street Trading's Miami office down in sunny South Florida. Today's date is Wednesday, January the 8th, 2014, and here is today's After the Bell Market Summary video brought to you by wallstreettrading.com. If you have not been to the website yet, go check it out. There's a lot of informative information on technical analysis and trading in the blog section. You can also see our videos at the same time if you're interested in trading with a proprietary trading firm or taking our monthly education course that we do. Contact us via the button on the upper right hand side of the home page. Other than that, today's action pretty readable in the morning session into the afternoon, but then after the FOMC minutes came out, it got pretty choppy, but we were able to manage it accordingly. And did some decent action. A lot of stocks we only really traded two names today, APOL and FRX. We did pretty well in those names as both of those names were in play. But in regards to the market action, let's go ahead and take a look at that, see how that breaks down. Again, if you like the video and the analysis that we bring forth, please like it on YouTube, share the video, as we of course we're always looking to build our following base and our subscribers. Aside from that, let's go and take a look at the markets here. The Dow Jones closed down 68 points. We had the Russell 2000, sorry, not the Russell 2000, the Nasdaq closed up 12 and a half or so. Nasdaq was the strongest index today, and then the S&P 500 closed down a little over a quarter, pretty much flat. The IWM, the Russell 2000 index, was pretty much flat too, up 0.15 on that ETF there that tracks the Russell 2000. Looking at the breadth, we had a mixed market here. We had 2,785 issues advancing on the NYSE, Nasdaq, and the Amex. We had 3,512 issues declining on the NYSE, Nasdaq, and the Amex. So you can definitely see breadth was in favor of the bears today on that aspect. It wasn't leaning too heavy to the bearish side, but it was in favor of the bears there. However, we had 430 issues making new highs and 42 issues making new lows. So therefore, you can see breadth. It still got some bullish action out there in stocks, and stocks actually were still trading pretty decent today, at least for the names that we were tracking. As far as the market goes, technology sector was mixed. Microsoft was down over 1.5%. HPQ was down over 2.5%. Some weakness in the telecom space. AT&T down 2%, Verizon down over 1.5%. Aside from that, the technology space was, all right. Had some decent action in the semiconductor space, and from some of that action there, SNDK really took off today. We talked about that in last night's video. Funny thing, we talked about that. We didn't even trade today. However, we still managed to do catch some other decent trades in different sectors. Walgreens up pretty nice today. DeVry and those schools were up today with the APOL. Some weakness in the basic material space, and if I do not forget, hopefully I'll be able to take a look at the DBC, which is a commodity ETF chart. Well, matter of fact, let me just go ahead and look at it now before we go over the indices, because this chart worries me a little bit. The DBC, you have a head and shoulders pattern that broke down. You had the back test that held twice right there on a double recheck of that retest there, and so far we have a move down, broke the upper trend line, broke the pivot low. So what is this chart telling us for 2014? Well, we'll discuss that more later on throughout the weekend when we do our weekend research. But right now, the commodity sector doesn't look too good based off this DBC chart, and we're going to do some more research on this space to see what opportunities are out there to capitalize on this. But other than that, let's go ahead and take a look at the market, starting off with the S&P 500, the spiders. Oh yeah, real quick here, the utilities were weak today. Consumer goods, those stocks were weak today as well. Procter & Gamble down 1.5%. Philip Morris down 1.5%. Coca-Cola weak. GIS weak. General Mills. Financials held up well today. That's pretty good. And healthcare performed pretty well today. So again, let's go and take a look at the S&P 500 chart via the spiders, the ETF for the S&P. SPY up 4 cents. Again, pretty much flat. We're still holding this week's low, which was on Monday. We're still holding that low down there around 182. Really, until we break out that little lower pivot that's holding so far, we remain kind of neutral to bullish until otherwise. So keep an eye on this pivot low. Keep an eye on this 183 level. If we do break and hold below 183, we'll be looking for a move back down towards Monday's lows. Let's not forget we have the rising 20-day moving average right here as well coming up. So we'll see how that plays out. And then you have the S&P 500, the ES, the futures. You can see how those close right here. How that closed right here, excuse me, and that looks pretty good if it breaks out over yesterday's high, of course today's high. So actually still looks pretty decent. Let's go and take a look at the Nasdaq 100, which did pretty well today. Again, a lot of stocks in the Nasdaq had a nice little move, and then the Nasdaq is right at this key trend line from this nice little upward channel. Again, and really until we take out the low that we made on Monday, not too worried about the Nasdaq. If anything, it's going to trade sideways to higher until we take out the pivot low. All right, so we're watching that, and then we have the IWM. Again, not really much to talk about today. The markets did get some selling pressure, a little bit of volatility in the markets today. Nice up move, sideways action, choppy in the FOMC minutes, flash down. Then, of course, they bought us right off of the previous day's low around 1826 on the ES and traded us back up towards the highs. The IWM's right here at the 50% trend line, like we discussed in last night's video. As long as we can hold this 50% trend line from the big channel that we're watching, we expect this to form like a little compression pattern with the price action trading sideways to higher, and then hopefully that 50% trend line of these moving averages will help the Russell break throughout this pattern. However, if we do not hold the 50 and we start trading below the 50, well, then you guys know above the 50 we're bullish, below the 50% of a major identifiable channel we're bearish. So right now we're still bullish and neutral because we're holding up here above all the moving averages, and the small caps are actually performing pretty well. See, a lot of guys in my chat room are trading, these little small, lower price stocks, and they're actually moving. Now, I don't really trade those stocks that are very low price, say the $5 or $7 stocks, $3 stocks, but I've been missing out on some action not watching those names. So I'm gonna start paying close attention to some of those names as these small cap movers start to catch some nice bids. Let's go and take a look at the DIA, the Dow Jones ETF. Dow was the weakest index today, down 0.38% via this ETF here. Still trading a nice little high base from this nice little upward draft we had here. Upward movement, sideways action, usually indicative of a move higher. However, if we do not hold the 101.64 level, all right, we can look for them to try to bring this back down to that 20-day moving average right there, which could be a buying opportunity. As this would allow for some stocks to reset and pull back to some decent support levels. So we'll see how that sets up. Right now, it's just trading sideways. Looks a little bit vulnerable for a pullback. All right, so if you trade the Dow and you trade those stocks, or in general, maybe later on tonight, of course, I'm going to be looking through my Dow Jones charts to see which ones look like they could roll over if the Dow was to roll over, so we know which ones to hit. And I'll have that information, tomorrow available to our guys over here. So Dow Jones, the VIX, traded sideways today. Not really any action there. Inside day of yesterday's range, so not really much to talk about right there. Looking at the dollar did show a little bit of strength today here, up 0.30%. And again, really can't get too bullish on the dollar, at least for a move up, until it breaks above this little pivot that we had right here, around 81.5. So if we break and hold above 81.5, then we can maybe start getting a move back up towards these 82s, 82.50s, which of course we'll see what this strength in the dollar does to different asset classes and different sectors. We'll see how that plays out. So different things that we're watching. The market still seems like it's kind of quiet, but at the same time, the market still seems like it's comfortable in this area. Taking a look at the euro dollar, of course, this sold off a little bit. If the dollar rallied up, of course, it's going to sell off a little bit here. It does have some decent support around the 135. Again, we really don't trade currency action over here, but we do track them on a day-to-day basis just to see what's going on with them. Looking at the commodity space, gold still weak. Bounced off the 1220 level. Let's see, yeah, bounced off the 1220 level today. Still holding in this range. Again, if we just continue to chop around in this little shaded area that we have marked here from before, all right, we'll be looking for this to chop around some more and then hopefully try to get a bounce. Right now, gold's dead money. We're not really focusing on that sector. You take a look at the gold miners; they were down 1.5% today, and they pulled back a little bit as we're at the top of the range. So of course, if they're going to knock gold down, we could definitely see the GDX going back down towards the bottom of the range. And some of those gold mining stocks that popped up the past week or so, we'll see those names get knocked right back down most likely. So GDX, again, we're not focusing on that sector, but we're still watching it on a day-to-day basis, of course, as we always like to take a look at different spaces in the market. Crude oil down some more today, down 1.25%, trading 92.50 as we speak. And this thing, again, that DBC chart, folks, we definitely got to watch and see what's going to happen with crude oil. I will tell you, if crude oil does continue to sell off and we get some nice selling pressure, like a capitulation, a little short-term capitulation trade here, look for crude oil to possibly get a bounce down here off this little key trend line around the 86 area. Of course, first we would have to break 92. Then if we break 92, we'll have to break the 89 area, which is another key level. But either way, these are some levels to watch. 92 from this little lower pivot we had from last month, and then the 89 level, which comes from a prior level here. See, that comes from back in this little area over here. And then we also have another key level to watch, which I don't have marked in the chart, which was the low around 85.90. So I have here marked some decent levels for you guys to watch: 92, 89, 86, and then this little lower trend line this downward trend line we had from the breakout that causes nice little short-term momentum that of course has gotten faded now. So we'll keep an eye on that. And silver, let's take a quick peek at silver. Silver down 1.25% today. You can see the top of that trend line from the channel that I've been showing you guys here is holding as resistance so far. And if we were to sell off in silver, we'll be looking for it to get a bounce off the bottom of this channel that we've been tracking with you guys here for the past couple months, and that will be back down towards the 17 area. Again, I will be very bullish on silver if we get a nice little break on volume above 2050. All right, and if we get a break and hold above this little trend line that we've been trying to break above, but until then, I remain kind of neutral to bearish on the whole metal sector in general. And of course, we're really not focusing on that space, because when there's buys in that sector, you're going to know when there's real buyers. Right now, you can tell it's just drifting around. So let's go ahead and talk about some individual equity names here, guys. Apple. A lot of you guys ask about Apple, so let's go ahead and take a look at that. Apple was able to hold positive today. It's hanging around here on this 540 level. Again, if Apple does decide to break down, there should be a nice little scalp opportunity down here around the 526 from this consolidation we had right here before we broke out. You guys know prior resistance, access support, and then we had the 100-day simple moving average and exponential around that 520 area as well. So even if we were to flash below that 530, you could probably catch another scalp area off that 520 level. Amazon, let's go and take a look at that name. Google was up a little bit today, just a little drift higher in that name. But Amazon still looks pretty good, holding that moving average, building a nice little base. You see that nice little consolidation we had right here? We broke out. Guess what? It back tested on Monday and held. And now we have a higher pivot low from that breakout low. And we could see Amazon take out the highs this week or possibly next week if this thing, just continues to hold that nice bid. They have earnings coming out on the 28th of this month. We'll see how that plays out. Google, a little pause day there. Not really much to talk about. Did make a new high. Of course, I would not be buying Google right now. It could go higher, but your risk to reward is not that favorable. If you were looking to buy it, you should have bought it yesterday when it broke out. So now you really just want to watch it. And now, in my opinion, it's too late to the party. However, it could, keep on going higher, but we'll be watching it. And hopefully, if that does happen, that will of course bring some more bullish action to the Nasdaq. So we'll see how it plays out. SNDK, a stock that we discussed with you guys yesterday, up 6% today, folks. Looks pretty good. SNDK breaking out this nice little range here. Nice little higher pivot low. Don't forget, you can use your Fibonacci extensions to get some upper targets over here. Since it is coming into a new price area on the chart, well, actually, it shows me here that it hit a high of 79.80 back here in 2006 in January. So I'm not sure if that's a misprint or what, or an upward tick. Let me take a look at my weekly charts to see if that's actually some real prices over there. Give me 1 second. So yeah, we did hit a high. So the next level to watch will be up here towards 75, 43, 76, 62 area. That's what I'm looking at on my weekly charts for some weekly levels. So SNDK though, folks. Again, if you like the video analysis, please like the video, share the videos, follow us on Stock Twits as we trade some of these intraday, and we post our entries, our exits, and our targets there. So SNDK, good action there. The data storage space making a nice move today. Take a look at this STX. We talked about that one yesterday. WDC. Again, these names, they are making new. Some of these names are making new all-time highs. Some of them are making new year highs, new 52-week highs, whatever. But this one's looking pretty good. They have earnings. They have an earnings report coming out on the 22nd. Could still have some more momentum, even though they did come off the highs a little bit. WDC. Let's see what NTAP did today. NTAP was not the strongest one of the group. NTAP even got a nice little bounce today. Still looks kind of quiet. You can see a nice little big choppy range here. And it did put like a nice little higher pivot low in from these lows down here. So we'll track this space. If they continue to go higher, I would have to believe that NTAP will try to follow suit and follow them as well. Let's go ahead and talk about the financials. Goldman Sachs, flat day, up 15 cents. Not much action there inside of yesterday's range. JP Morgan was actually trading pretty decent today. Showed some nice relative strength to the other financials. Still an inside day of yesterday's action. Citigroup, was trying to trade as well today, up 1%. Made a new high here, new 52-week high. or a new year high, however you like to say it. um, and if this Citigroup starts to break and hold above 55, this thing could really get some legs. So keep an eye on Citigroup. They have earnings coming out next week. It looks to be on Friday, before the market opens. And then Bank of America is really not doing anything today. Traded sideways, kind of like lower inside day. And then Wells Fargo, the last one I'll talk about here. Wells Fargo up 1% today. Still looks pretty good. Remember, this is the strongest bank on a chart basis out there. So keep an eye on the Wells Fargo if the financials do start to run again. Utilities were weak. Not really much to talk about there. Alcoa was up close to 3% today. So this stock had some bullish action, and looks like they have earnings coming out tomorrow after the market closes here. So keep an eye on the stock. Made a new high here, 1088 high. Um, Energy stocks weak. I was really looking for this sector to get a bounce today because some of the charts were shaping up pretty decent, but you can see Chevron gap down, traded lower. I'm not sure if the space got a downgrade or what, or maybe it's because energy and the oil is weak, and some of the energy stocks are starting to show some weakness, and energy was weak today. ExxonMobil, of course, looks stronger than Chevron, so if you are looking for the space to move up, you want to focus on ExxonMobil, not Chevron. Let's see, Monsanto came out with earnings today. The stock really didn't do anything pre-market, but then right on the open, they bought it right up. It gapped up a little bit slightly, but it was still quiet. Not really much volume pre-market. You can see they waited for this one to open up. They rallied it up, and then it faded down a little bit on the intraday action right here on the 5-minute chart. But daily chart still looks pretty decent, still holding up there. CF kind of grinded higher today off of that news, up $3.10. However, looking for CF to possibly try to break out this nice little range it's trading in. May need some more time, so it may chop around a bit, but just take note of the fact we have a high volume spike up, and it's holding that gap up. They even touched that level, came down to that 225 level yesterday, and supported it. The buyers supported it down there. So a break over today's highs should take this thing up towards the top of that range. If we get a real strong break over 239.50, I think this thing could really get going. So keep this on your radar. You can see volume down there at the bottom of the chart has been increasing as well for the past couple of weeks here. Let's see. Again, consumer goods are looking weak. If you're looking for a weak sector, this sector has been showing a little bit of weakness the past couple of weeks. Procter and Gamble still on that moving average right there though, so got to watch it there. KO down 1% today. This one's coming in a little bit here at the start of the year. Support down there around 39. Philip Morris, GIS, all these names in the consumer goods space, they're selling them. Look at Philip Morris. Philip Morris is going to give you a breakdown short tomorrow if it takes out this low right here of 82.66, which it almost try to break through today. So keep it on the same tomorrow. If it gives you a nice little momentum break through that area. And then let me bring up GIS, which I see got smacked down today, down 2.5% without any earnings report or anything out. So this one looks vulnerable for a breakdown if it takes out the pivot low that we have right there, because then you have a high, a low, these lower highs, and hopefully make another lower low. Then you'll be in what we call, of course, an official downtrend with some confirmation action there. So keep an eye on these consumer goods. It looks like there's some sector rotation going on. Monsanto talked about that. DD, some bullish action in the chemical space. Again, some bearish action, bullish action in DD. DD actually looks pretty good because this little range right here, the top of that range is actually holding its support for the past 2 days. So keep an eye on this name, possibly for a bounce up tomorrow. DD, actually going to set my alert up today if it breaks past these two-day session highs here. Weakness in the OIH continues. RIG, they got downgraded today in the stock. Was down a lot more, but it was down over 2%, but it bounced up. But if it breaks below 48, could start making its way back down towards 47. Halliburton, aka Hallaberry, has not been able to catch a nice little bounce. We're still watching this name for a bounce around the 48 level from this support that it has down here. Aside from that, folks, quick little short video. Actually, let's go and take a look at a couple more names here. Netflix, I forgot to talk about this yesterday, but Netflix did break down out of this little upward channel that I discussed, I'm pretty sure here before, or I know I discussed it with my guys that came to my weekend review meetup here. But Netflix selling off, support right here at 330, and next support down here around 310, and that 330 support is just from that moving average. Tesla, let's go back and take a look at some of these names that we're punching up every day before. which I don't know why I'm not doing that now. I should, but Tesla sideways holding support around 145, resistance around 155. CMG, another name that we talked about before, looking pretty good. Nice upward move, sideways consolidation. Look for a break on CMG if it triggers above 537. Again, we really don't trade these high price stocks. Well, I don't, but I do track them just to get a gauge of what's moving on around out there. BIIB, can't go wrong without talking about the biotechs. Biotechs are looking pretty good. BIIB got a nice little bounce yesterday, broke this nice little downward trend line. Should have some more juice tomorrow. Keep an eye on the name. BSX, Boston Scientific, caught a nice little bit today. What else? MU, of course, they had the earnings that came out yesterday. They blew the earnings out the water. The stock gapped up, faded down for most of the day. Take a look at the 5 minute stock, faded down for most of the day. Then and was able to catch a bounce a little bit into the close. But you can see what they did with this one. Little triangle action here that broke down, and they just were fading it. Then it broke the downward trend line, broke down, back test held, and they rallied it up. MU, we didn't even catch that one today, but we were talking about it in our chat room this morning before they opened. FRX, the name that we traded today, might as well talk about it, of course, here since we traded it. Looks pretty good. Keep an eye on this name for tomorrow. I believe they acquired some company that was new, so they traded higher. They also have earnings earnings coming out on the 21st. APOL did pretty well today. Had some decent action, up 14%. Sold off the highs, but we'll be tracking this to see if it holds today's lows and trade sideways for a move higher. And right when we saw the APOL go up, I told the guys in the room to watch DV for a nice little momentum trade as well. And what do you know? DV broke out and gave us some nice action. So get in the chat room, folks. We share ideas. It's a free trial. It's also free if after the trial version. We have not started charging for it yet, and I don't see us charging for it anytime soon. At least not at the moment. So go in there, check us out. Got a lot of good stuff. If you're interested in joining our proprietary trading firm, contact me via email or contact us via the website. A lot of good stuff going on, folks. Have a great day. Cheers.